2,500 years ago, Lao Tzu wrote 6 words that most people are still not brave enough to live by. Those who know do not speak. That is chapter 56 of the Tao Te Ching. Not a suggestion, an observation. The people who understand the deepest truths about themselves feel no compulsion to announce them. And the people who never stop explaining, justifying, and defending who they are have not yet arrived at that understanding. Think about the last time you over-explained yourself. Someone questioned your decision, and instead of letting it stand, you launched into reasons. You gave a backstory. You softened. You rearranged your words until they sounded acceptable to the other person. And afterward, you felt smaller. Not because you were wrong, but because you handed your power to someone who never asked for a receipt. This video is about getting that power back. Not through aggression, not through arrogance, through 10 principles from Taoism that will teach you why silence is louder than justification, why your life does not require a defense attorney, and why the most liberated thing you will ever do is stop explaining yourself to people who were never going to understand you anyway. Lesson 1. Those who know do not speak. The full verse from chapter 56 reads, "Those who know do not speak. Those who speak do not know." Block the openings, shut the doors, blunt the sharpness, untie the knots, soften the glare, settle the dust. This is called the primal union. Lao Tzu is describing a state of being so internally settled that the need to broadcast disappears. When you truly know who you are, speech becomes optional. You do not need to correct every misunderstanding. You do not need to update every observer. You do not need to translate your choices into language that others find palatable. Over-explaining is not generosity. It is a transaction. You are offering words in exchange for approval, and every time you make that trade, you are telling yourself that your own certainty is not enough. The practice is this. The next time someone questions a decision you have already made, respond with the decision and nothing else. I am not going. Not, I am not going because I am tired, and I had a long week, and I feel like I need time alone, and I hope you understand. The first version is complete. The second version is an application for permission. Lesson 2. The best leader is barely known. Chapter 17 of the Tao Te Ching says, "When the master governs, the people are hardly aware that he exists. Next best is a leader who is loved. Next, one who is feared. The worst is one who is despised." When the master's work is done, the people say, "Amazing, we did it ourselves." The greatest influence is invisible. It does not announce itself. It does not take credit. It does not explain its methods. This applies far beyond politics. It applies to the way you move through every relationship. The moment you start explaining your value to someone, you have already diminished it. Value that has to be argued for is value the other person was never going to see. Stop narrating your worth. Let your actions land without commentary. The people who are meant to notice will notice. The people who require a presentation were never your audience. Lesson 3. He who stands on tiptoe cannot stand firm. Chapter 24 states, "He who stands on tiptoe does not stand firm. He who rushes ahead does not go far. He who tries to shine dims his own light. He who defines himself cannot know who he really is. He who boasts of what he will do succeeds in nothing. He who is proud of his work achieves nothing that endures." Every time you explain yourself, you are standing on tiptoe. You are stretching beyond your natural height to appear larger, clearer, more justified. And the strain is visible. People can feel when someone is performing certainty versus when someone simply possesses it. The person who quietly makes a choice and lives with it radiates something that no explanation can manufacture. The person who chases understanding from every direction radiates something else entirely, doubt. Let your feet be flat on the ground. Make your decision. Live it. The right people will not require a footnote. Lesson 4. Yield and overcome. Chapter 22 says, "Yield and overcome. Bend and be straight. Empty and be full. Have little and gain. Have much and be confused." This is the paradox that Taoism returns to again and again. The way to strength is not through force, it is through release. When someone misunderstands you, every instinct says to correct them, to flood the gap with explanation, to make them see. But Lao Tzu says yield. Let the misunderstanding stand, Let the silence do the work. Here is what happens when you stop correcting people. The ones who are genuinely confused will come back and ask. The ones who are never interested in the truth will reveal themselves by the story they invent in the absence of your words. Either way, you learn who belongs in your life and who does not. Yielding is not losing. It is filtering. Lesson 5. The softest thing overcomes the hardest. Chapter 43 reads, "The softest thing in the universe overcomes the hardest thing in the universe. That without substance can enter where there is no room. Hence I know the value of action without action. Teaching without words and work without doing are understood by very few." Teaching without words. That phrase should be written on every mirror. You do not teach people who you are by explaining it. You teach them by living it. Your consistency is your argument. Your character over time is your closing statement. When you explain yourself, you are using the hard approach, forcing your truth into someone else's framework. When you simply continue being who you are using the soft approach, and the soft approach is the one that penetrates. Water does not explain to the rock why it is going to erode it. It just shows up, day after day, and the rock eventually yields. Be water. Lesson 6. When the fool hears the Tao, he laughs. Chapter 41 says, "When a wise man hears of the Tao, he immediately begins to live it. When an average man hears of the Tao, he half believes it and half doubts it. When a foolish man hears of the Tao, he laughs out loud. If he did not laugh, it would not be the Tao." Read that last line again. If the fool did not laugh, it would not be the Tao. The laughter of the uncomprehending is not a sign that you are wrong. It is confirmation that you are operating on a frequency they cannot yet receive. The urge to explain yourself is often the urge to stop that laughter. To make the fool see what you see. But Lao Tzu says the laughter is supposed to be there. It is part of the design. Not everyone will understand the way you live. Some people will find your choices absurd. Your silence will confuse them. Your refusal to chase their approval will unsettle them. Let them laugh. Their laughter is the sound of the Tao working exactly as it should. Lesson 7. Fame or self, which matters more? Chapter 44 asks, fame or self, which matters more? Self or wealth, which is more precious? Gain or loss, which is more painful? He who is attached to things will suffer much. He who hoards will suffer heavy loss. Know when to stop and you will be free from danger. Every explanation you offer to someone who does not deserve it is a small act of choosing fame over self. You are prioritizing how you appear in their mind over how you feel in your own body. You are choosing the external image over the internal reality. Lao Tzu asks you to make the opposite choice, to value your own peace more than someone else's opinion, to recognize that the energy you spend managing perceptions is energy stolen from the life you are actually living. So, the question is not, do they understand me? The question is, am I willing to sacrifice my peace so that they might? The answer, almost always, should be no. Lesson 8. I alone am different. Chapter 20 is one of the most personal passages in the Tao Te Ching. Lao Tzu writes, "Other people are clear and bright, but I alone am dim and weak. Other men are sharp and clever, but I alone am dull and stupid. Oh, I drift like the waves of the sea, without direction, like the restless wind. Everyone else is busy, but I alone am aimless and depressed. I am different. I am nourished by the Great Mother." This is not self-pity. This is the loneliest verse in all of Chinese philosophy, and it is also the most liberated. Lao Tzu is describing the experience of someone who has stopped performing for the crowd. When you stop explaining yourself, you will feel this. You will feel out of step. Dull when others seem sharp, aimless when others seem driven. The world rewards people who broadcast their competence, and your silence will look like confusion to them. But Lao Tzu does not apologize. He does not explain. He simply says, I am different. I am nourished by the Great Mother. He is drawing his sustenance from something the crowd cannot see. And that is enough. It has to be enough. Because the moment you start translating that nourishment into words, the crowd will accept. You have already left the source. Lesson 9. True words are not beautiful. Chapter 81, the final chapter of the Tao Te Ching, opens with this. True words are not beautiful. Beautiful words are not true. Good men do not argue. Those who argue are not good. Those who know are not learned. Those who are learned do not know. Is Lao Tzu's parting instruction, his last word on the matter, and he uses it to draw a line between truth and persuasion. The person who possesses truth does not need to make it attractive. The person who makes things attractive is usually concealing the absence of truth. When you over-explain, you are decorating. You are selecting words for their effect rather than their accuracy. You are constructing beautiful sentences designed to make someone else comfortable with your reality. But your reality does not need decoration. It needs your willingness to let it stand bare. Say what is true. Say it once. If it does not land, that is not your failure. Beauty is not your obligation. Lesson 10. Knowing yourself is true wisdom. Chapter 33 says, knowing others is intelligence. Knowing yourself is true wisdom. Mastering others is strength. Mastering yourself is true power. If you realize that you have enough, you are truly rich. This is the foundation beneath all 9 previous lessons. The reason you explain yourself is that you have not yet fully settled the question of who you are inside your own mind. When that question is settled, explanation becomes unnecessary. Not because you are arrogant, but because your identity is no longer a hypothesis that requires external evidence. It is a fact you live with the same certainty that you live with gravity. Knowing yourself means you do not need a jury. Mastering yourself means you do not need an audience. Having enough means you do not need applause. The Tao Te Ching was written on bamboo strips by a man who, according to legend, was leaving civilization entirely. The gatekeeper asked him to record his wisdom before he disappeared. He wrote 81 chapters. He did not stay to see if anyone agreed with them. He did not explain his reasoning. He did not come back to check reviews. He wrote the truth as he understood it, handed it to the gatekeeper, and walked into the mountains. That is the energy. Say what you mean what you say, and then walk into the mountains. Here is the challenge I want to leave you with. For the next 7 days, catch yourself every time you begin to over-explain. Every time you add a second sentence that is really just an apology for the first. Every time you offer a reason when a decision was enough. Do not punish yourself. Just notice it. Count how many times in a single day you hand your power to someone who never asked for it. The number will surprise you. And once you see it, you will never unsee it. If this shifted something in the way you think about your own voice, subscribe to this channel. Leave a comment telling me which of these 10 lessons landed the hardest. And if you know someone who has spent their whole life explaining themselves to people who were never going to listen, send them this video. Sometimes the greatest gift is permission to be silent.